I'm just going to chuck in one very quick last question, which I won't throw out to the audience at all, and you may or may not think this is unfair, but it's a hard one, and I'll be really interested to hear your response, which is, obviously you've all been out on the stump, knocking on doors, and talking to a lot of voters in the last few weeks, and clearly there are a variety of concerns will be raised with you, the economy, education, NHS. Where in 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 would you put, as far as your political priorities are, climate change? And I will start with Jenny.
I have not been asked about climate change on any single door I've knocked on. I've knocked on a bloody lot of issues, my language. I think that is possibly because I'm wearing this, so I think they may think that I'm already on board with that. I would actually put it below 10. The only question that I've been asked was at a school today. The younger generation understand this. They know what's going on. They know that they're going to be the most affected by it. But it has, as I said earlier, it's falling out of the worrying board.
No, sorry, but my question isn't where do you think the priority is out there, so for your party.
For my party,
where is
central. Number one, it has to be the absolute key. It's from there everything else comes.
Robert.
I don't think you can, you shouldn't pigeonhole climate change in a box marked the environment, because it in fact affects everything that we do and think about and intend to enact. Because we're talking about not left or right in politics, we're talking about life or death, and we're talking about sustainability. And therefore, when you look at it in that way, it suddenly crosses a whole range of different issues, such as planning, such as development, such as energy security, such as food security, something perhaps we haven't touched on that much tonight, and in effect, the survival of the human race. And when you look at it like that, it's got to be central to everything that you think about.
So central is?
1 to 5, I don't know. Everything's a priority. I mean, politicians always say we make this our priority. And the thing is, we have loads of priorities. 1 to 5, I don't really think that's a very good way of putting it. I think the way you look at it is it all-encompassing, and it affects the way that we think about a whole range of issues, and it links those issues together to that overarching issue about sustainability and the survival of the human race.
Okay. Damon.
Partly I agree with Robert's sentiments in that you can't pigeonhole energy and climate change in a very convenient little box marked 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5. I will try to humour you, but I would have to say probably a 1 or a 2, because it is underpinning the Democrats' manifesto for this election. As I said right at the beginning, the green thread is running right through our manifesto. Our financial policies are geared towards it. Our statements are blindingly obvious, so is our energy and climate change ones, and everything else. So if you absolutely insist on it being put on the box, I'd say probably on the border between 1 and 2.
So it's May the 7th. Nick Clegg has won quite a lot of seats.
As my wife dreamed the other day, we'd won 400 seats and I'm one of them, yes. Nick Clegg is apparently the Prime Minister.
He's negotiating with the largest.
I woke her up at that point.
Will you put the environment central into that negotiation?
I tell you what, if that actually happens, I'll ask him and tell you.
Okay, thank you.
But I want to be getting a climate change minister.
I'm giving an honest answer. It's number 11 on UKIP's list, and there's 10 other things. List of priorities.
Oh well, okay, that was a straightforward answer, thank you. And
well, important enough to draw up a separate Green Manifesto available on the website. I think for me, really interesting, at the last general election, people used to ask me what my priorities were, and this is 2005, and I'd say education, economy, health, whatever. And I had one person really get very angry with me and say, but my daughter's future, okay, education's important, okay, the economy's important, important. But by 2050 or whenever, I'm not going to be around for her, or 2060, 27, she's going to be here, and what kind of world is it going to be? And that really concentrated my mind. She was so angry. And in fact, my priorities have changed. I'll talk about my party's priorities in a minute. And I think that, you know, this is the top priority for me, because it cascades down into everything else in the way that happened. Now, of course, at the moment, the economy is the big issue that's coming up on the doorstep. But our economy is going to be really affected by climate change. I hope, in a positive way, we can make climate change a good feature of our economy. We have to do that. I would say for my party, it's probably, do you want me to use the 5 or the 10 scale?
Well, whichever you think is most appropriate.
Right, I think it's probably a 7 or 8 out of 10, and that's because people kick like me. For me, it's a 9 and a 10, and I promise that I will work with my party to ensure that it is far higher up, and the top priority for everyone. And, you know, I have lots of conversations with Ed Miliband about this, and we do bash other people's heads together.
Thank you.
Can you ask me?
Very quickly, as long as you can be quick.
Yeah, well, you seem to be on, you know. Basically, I've been walking around the docks, and I've been talking to a lot of people. One of my things is parking. The other thing I also am interested in is nuclear, because I'm very anti-nuclear. I've talked to a lot of young people, because I've been posting my things in pubs. You talk to pubs, people in pubs, they all know about Belarus children, and then you talk about Chernobyl, and they don't know anything about it, they don't know what you're talking about. So what, for me, yes, it's a 10, because, like he said, people seem to have forgotten. Basically, they've waited until everybody's forgotten, and then they sneak it in behind. I think everybody needs to wake up to the fact that nuclear is not safe, nuclear is dangerous, it is not safer than a barrage. And I think that people need to know what has happened and how people have covered things up.
Right, thank you, that's a 10. Right, I'm going to draw it to a close there. That was a particularly lively debate, and I've enjoyed it very much. That was the 5th of the ones that WWF have done, and they varied enormously, but that was a very interesting one.